A coworker asks for help while your own deadlines pile up, and your answer feels like a career signal. You consider the impact on your current workload and the urgency of their request. You weigh the potential benefits of helping against the risks of overextending yourself. You decide to assist, prioritizing the importance of team collaboration and support. You communicate your decision clearly, outlining how you will help and what the timeline might look like. You manage your own tasks to make time for the additional work, ensuring you remain productive. You keep open lines of communication with both your coworker and your manager to ensure everyone is informed. You reflect on the experience, considering how to better balance future requests with your own responsibilities. You seek feedback from your coworker on the assistance provided, aiming to improve your support in the future. You update your task list and calendar to reflect the new priorities and deadlines resulting from the additional work. Reciprocity is the pattern you default to when deciding whether to help, trade, or take. Takers aim to get more than they give, givers give more than they get, and matchers seek balance. These styles affect outcomes because time and attention are limited, and helping can displace your own work. They also impact reputation, as colleagues remember who shares, who hoards, and who maintains fair exchanges. In engineering, medicine, and sales, givers might struggle if help prevents them from completing core responsibilities. Yet, top performers in these fields can also be givers, showing that giving can align with high skill. This contrast emerges when giving is paired with selectivity, clear boundaries, and a focus on finishing primary work. It also appears when generosity creates trust, attracting better cooperation and higher quality help later. Notice which style dominates your week, especially under stress, praise, and criticism. Then adjust one habit, either by asking for reciprocity, giving more strategically, or refusing requests that break your priorities. Networks form through repeated interactions, and reciprocity shapes whether a connection becomes trust or suspicion. Some people treat networking as a hunt for favours, which makes others wary of hidden motives and self-serving moves. Givers and matchers can build wide networks, but givers create value by adding help without immediate bargaining. This approach earns respect and prestige, making people more willing to introduce useful contacts and information. In one engineering setting, givers earned the highest status, but they lost productivity when they helped only occasionally. When givers helped often, they gained both productivity and status, as trust drew assistance from beyond direct recipients. The best network is not only large but also active, generous, and built on repeated small contributions. Dormant ties can reopen when trust exists, bringing fresh help from people you haven't seen recently. Choose one low-cost way to contribute, like a quick introduction or a short answer that removes confusion. Repeat it consistently and track whether your network starts returning better advice, faster support, and broader opportunities. When credit becomes a fight, collaboration breaks down because people start protecting their ideas instead of improving them together. A major issue is responsibility bias, where individuals overestimate their own contributions and undervalue their partners. Credit is not a zero-sum game, yet teams often act as if adding another name to the work diminishes their own achievement. This belief can trigger resentment, arbitration, and knowledge hiding, which in turn lowers creativity and slows execution. One television writer generated jokes and ideas for years, allowed others to take the writing credit, and accepted low visibility early on. Over time, colleagues publicly praised his contributions, and he still earned recognition while maintaining high levels of cooperation. Matchers often reward givers in joint work, but impose a tax on takers who hoard credit or hide knowledge. The safest path is to clearly name contributions, share credit broadly, and build a record that others can endorse. Before a project ends, ask teammates to list what others did and correct your own blind spots about effort. If you want more tools for sharing credit without losing your voice, subscribe for future breakdowns that protect collaboration. Influence can come from dominance or from prestige, and reciprocity often guides people toward one path or the other. Takers frequently pursue dominance by speaking forcefully, projecting certainty, and controlling the conversation through power signals. Prestige grows when others respect your intent and competence, and it tends to last longer than authority alone. Powerless communication can build prestige by showing humility, inviting input, and signaling that others matter. This approach uses questions, tentative statements, and admissions of limits to increase trust with skeptical audiences. When selling or persuading, questions that aim to help can reduce defensiveness and make agreement feel safer. The goal is not to sound unsure, but to create space for others to contribute and then integrate their ideas. This approach links back to giving, as it trades short-term control for long-term commitment and shared ownership. Choose one high-stakes conversation and replace one assertion with a question that surfaces the other side's needs. Add one honest limitation and one request for advice, then observe whether respect rises and resistance falls. When giving becomes selfless depletion, it fails because it ignores one's own limits and needs. An otherish giver cares deeply about others while also protecting energy, making help sustainable rather than draining. Research on burnout indicates that heavy giving can exhaust selfless givers, while otherish givers can be surprisingly resilient. In some health settings, otherish givers reported lower burnout than matchers and takers who lacked stamina to keep contributing. Under stress, people sometimes bond by helping, and that support can become a practical antidote to exhaustion. Firefighters who felt burned out increased help to colleagues, showing a tend and befriend response instead of withdrawal. Small identity cues can also influence behaviour, and rare shared traits can make people more willing to help quickly. A shared sense of belonging, like a beloved soccer symbol or an uncommon similarity, can turn distrust into cooperation. Ask for help earlier than feels comfortable and make your request specific, because most giving starts as a direct request. Pair generosity with generous tit for tat and assertive boundaries so you avoid the doormat effect while staying kind. The key lesson is that success is shaped by the flow of value among people, not just by effort and talent. Reciprocity styles explain why generous behaviour might seem risky in the short term, but can become powerful over the long term. Networks grow through repeated small contributions, and collaboration improves when credit is shared widely. You also learned how prestige can be earned through humble communication that invites others into the thinking process. Protecting your energy is crucial. Sustainable giving depends on support, selectivity, and boundaries to prevent resentment. Small cues can influence behaviour, so building an identity and community around giving can sustain cooperation under stress. Start now by choosing one relationship where you will give clearly, ask clearly, and match clearly when needed. Then design one small system, such as a shared request circle, that makes asking and contributing normal. Over time, these habits reduce fear and suspicion, replacing them with trust that makes teams more effective. If these ideas help you build more generous results at work, subscribe for more practical experiments and guided implementations.